All right, so welcome everyone again to tonight's class. Let's open in prayer. Father, we give you thanks and praise. We thank you that all healing comes from you. You are the great physician. Father, you are the principal healer. And so, Father, we look to you right now as our source, as our guide, as we are in tonight's session. We invite you to our midst. We pray that you will lead and direct the discussion, that you will cause it to bear fruit that will give us knowledge and understanding. Take complete control now, Father, even as we look to you and tell thanks. In Yeshua's name we pray. Hallelujah. All right, so again, welcome everybody. Welcome Anya. I don't know who iPhone guest is. Welcome Mel, welcome Michael, welcome Mitzi, welcome Amar, welcome Sharon. Who is iPhone? Who is iPhone? iPhone, you can Deja. Oh, okay, cool. All right. Let me just. Good. And Anya, keep on forgetting your proper name. You can type it. Is it Thompson? Just remind me, Anya. Don't remember who Anya is.
Yes, it's Thompson, sir.
What's your first name?
Annie.
Annie. Okay. All right, so I know everybody is here now. I think one person is missing. That is Prince. All right. All right, so let me get some feedback from the class. You watched the video. We looked at Mary Sequel. I believe that she's one of Jamaica's and the Caribbean's. Maybe back then, I think Dr. Sebi, through technology, has outshined him now. But undoubtedly, she's one of Jamaica's most well-known. And it's funny because I don't think she's known as a herbalist. You know, the funniest thing about it, I don't think she's known as a herbalist. She's known as a nursing practitioner. That's sad because her work, even though it was in the form of nursing, it really was based on traditional and natural medicine. So I can't even say that she's one of Jamaica's most well-known herbalists because she's not really known as a herbalist. For somebody who has not followed her career, for somebody who has not studied her work, they wouldn't know that her therapeutic care was based on natural therapies and natural products, including herbs. But let me just find out from you. You can just put your hands up, watching the video. How has it impacted you? Because as I said, that so very little is known about her. All right. So I see Sharon hand up first. All right, go ahead, Sharon, unmute yourself and go ahead. And then Deja. And then go ahead.
And I figure a lot of us knew Syringa Marshall Burnett, who is a former president of the Senate and a nurse herself. And she spoke of, repeatedly, I've heard her refer to Mary Sue Cole as a guide for her, but she spoke of her as a nurse. She never ever mentioned her work as a herbalist. So I was struck by the video from that perspective, because for me, I thought that I would have been seeing and hearing more about details of nursing practice that made a difference, like there were any particular techniques or so on. But her technique was just a natural care and intention to listen to her patient, be present in the space. I was very struck by the detail of Florence Nightingale visiting the frontline area only twice per year, so to speak, and she was there all the time, every day. And that her hotel really proved to be a healing point and a natural healing well. Let me call it that. So this for me was really a widening of my scope of understanding of Mary Secord. And certainly because of the space that I occupy within walking corridors of policy, whatever I can do to try and expand that view, I will happily contribute to that, Dr. Ben. That's my input.
Wonderful, wonderful. And thank you, Sharon. We look at, I said to persons that when you care about persons and when you do natural medicine for the love of it, we saw that what she did was that she was an entrepreneur. She's the embodiment of Proverbs 31, the Proverbs 31 woman who went outside of not just caring, but also raising funds to empower herself financially to continue what she's doing. So many persons don't have so many skills to pack it into one person. But that was also phenomenal. Okay, go ahead. Was it Deja and then Mitzi?
So watching the YouTube video, I was just really motivated by her drive, her commitment to serve her community, and her going above and beyond. I really admired the part where they were saying that the extra money that she made, she would help take care of people for free. And so I was like, wow, like I wouldn't even think of to do anything like that. So I love how she just was very resilient, though she had all these obstacles in her way. Everything that came in her way, she knocked those obstacles down. She knew that she was bigger than, anything that was trying to stand in her way. So I feel like it motivated me to come out of my shell more, to be more motivated and have more confidence in the knowledge I have, and just to listen to my intuition even more than I do. So thank you for sharing that video. I had never heard of her before because, I'm in the United States. And then like my Jamaican family, they're not into the herbs like I am into the herbs. So I never heard of her before. But then after I watched the video and I went on Google to look up even more information about her, just in case the video didn't say some things, I see that, they were trying to promote her more as a British woman than a Jamaican woman. So then, yeah.
Yeah. One of our students made an observation last year, because she's obscure in Jamaica, but of course on the international scene, they want to claim her citizenship, because now that's a positiveness. And I hope persons look at when she came on the scene in terms of something similar to what's happening now with the pandemic and all of that. But she came on the scene at a time when there was a great demand for natural healers. All right, Mitzi, go ahead, Mitzi.
Okay, night everybody.
Good
So
night.
what struck me the most was that I had no idea that she was an herbalist. I heard of her. I know she went to a war. I didn't know it was the Crimean War. And I know that she was celebrated in Britain. So I decided to do a little survey with friends and family to find out if they knew that she was a herbalist. And none of them knew. They were all shocked. The only thing they knew of is that her name was at the hospital ward down at KPH, and a ward was named after her. And most of the young people that I spoke to, they said they see Mary Secord all over Huey, but they don't know anything about her. And I was just totally floored because I had no idea that she used herbs to heal so many people. And the whole story brought me to tears, because I think that she should be more celebrated by Jamaica, and that she should be taught about in schools, and especially on the primary school level, because when you get to high school, you sort of branch off into arts and sciences and whatever. So those that do history might get to do it if they say they're going to put it in high school. But when you're in primary school, you have to do everything, all the subjects. So they should really, the government should really take a decision to start teaching about her in primary school, and she's, you know, she's underrated, just like how Marcus Garvey is underrated in Jamaica, but is also well known. Both of them are well known internationally. So, you know, I was very excited to learn about her, and opened up my eyes to a lot of things. And it really goes to show you that you learn something new every day.
Right. Thank you, Mitzi. And you know, our job, that's going to be part of our job too, as we push the agenda to incorporate traditional medicine in our healthcare system. As we, because that's part of my goal. I want to see the Ministry of Health having a unit that is a unit that is based on traditional medicine. And so, you know, persons like these who have made such a significant input, we want to correct that by celebrating. And that's why even next week and all the weeks coming, I want to use the opportunity to feature as many traditional practitioners as is possible and expose you to them, because there are many other practitioners that are not known. And part of our mistake is that we have allowed them to go unnoticed, and we have allowed the knowledge to go undocumented. And because of that, we have to be trying to reinvent the wheel. We have to try to feel and seek our way out, because we haven't respected. When I think about Mary Seacole, she's like the Louise Bennett, for the want of a word. She's like the Louise Bennett of natural medicine. And you know, even in the month of February, we will look on, you know, celebrate Black History Month and the contribution of Black heroes. We have to understand that I like that. I need to read that. Sorry. So many persons like that go unseen, they go unnoticed. Yeah, I'd love to see that paper. So many persons like that go unnoticed, and it's our job to ensure that the buck stops here with that. All right. I see Mel Han and I see Mitzi again. Go ahead, Mel. Go ahead, Ben. Just unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry. My mic wasn't on. Yeah, I was, I mean, like, really flattered, and I was like, really like knowing that, like there's this Black woman who has go through the struggle, and I look at the struggle that we as a Black person go through in order to reach out to the world, to let them know that we have potential, and we literally put down for us to reach out with our culture towards the mass variety of the world. And she has make it to the top, that pave a way for us, like now, and honoring her, and I admire that a lot, and knowing that, for us at this generation, we can use her as a stepping stone, knowing that she paved the way for us.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Mitzi?
Yeah, what I forgot to mention that I have a sort of like a little niece that just graduated from pharmacy school, and when she at UTech, and her roommate was another young lady from down here that did nursing. So they just graduated September gone. So I asked her to ask the nursing young lady if she had ever heard of Mary Seacole. She said she's never heard of Mary Seacole. So I suspect that they haven't been teaching about her as a part of nursing school history. And what I didn't remember to ask, which I'm going to find out, is did they teach her about Florence? Did they teach her about Florence? So I'm going to find out about that. Because Mary Seacole should be taught about in nursing school as a part of nursing history. But because it's traditional medicine, I think that's the reason why she has not been celebrated in the nursing school, which she should be. Whenever you go to learn about something, just like how you're teaching us about herbs and you're giving us a history. Even when people are going to Anglicans, Anglicans going to get, they're going to get, what you call it, when not, right, but not baptism, they have another word for it. Confirmation.
Confirmation.
Right, they teach, my girlfriend, they teach them the history of how the Anglican Church was formed. You understand me? From the Catholic Church and the Henry VIII and all of that. They teach that in confirmation class. So they should be teaching nursing history and including her in nursing history. Because this young lady says she never hear about her yet.
Yes, and so, it goes to the fact that, the rhetoric or the narrative basically is that we haven't contributed much. And again, it goes to the fact that herb knowledge, the knowledge of herbs has not contributed a lot. And that's all a part of the whole argument where, such a powerful contribution was made by a herbalist. It really does not support the argument, because what they did 50 years ago or 60 years ago was that one, they used term like alternative medicine. They gave us the impression that it was practiced by uneducated persons that had more roots in folklore, folk tales and all that it wasn't scientific enough, it wasn't based on anything scientific. And so all of that was to reduce our respect, and it was also to reduce our confidence in that form of medicine. And so, an iconic figure like Mary Seacole subsequently was thrown out in that whole dogma. And so one of the reasons why it's featured so early in our course is because one thing that we want to do is that I want you to understand that studying natural medicine, you are not studying an inferior form of medicine, because a lot of persons would believe that, okay, it's inferior to modern medicine. And so, that's for persons who really can't do better. We want persons to understand that not only is it still the choice of medicine for 80% of the world's population, but that it is very effective, and it has made so much contribution in the past and is still making contribution in the present. All right, Michael, any contribution, anything that hit you, Michael, from the video?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. What stood out to me was the fact that how she learned this from her mom, and she gained this experience from her mom in the use of traditional medicine, and the fact that some of the diseases like cholera and diarrhea, dysentery, was treated by local herb found here in Jamaica. So that was one of the things that stood out to me. And also that she came from humble beginnings and fought through all the struggles of being rejected, and was able to, through determination.
And she also fought that as well.
Oh, yes, sir. Sorry, the earpiece fell out. Yeah, so she fought through all of these struggles and was able to make her mark on the international scene. Well, that's my contribution.
All right. What do you think is a big contrast between Mary Seacole's approach to medicine and her counterpart? What's her name?
Is that question for me, sir?
Oh. No, for everybody. Mary, what's the contrast, do you think? Mary Seacole's approach and Florence Nightingale. What do you think is the contrast between, because both of them were nurses, both of them, brought something to the table. We're not demonizing Florence Nightingale. She added a lot to administration and a lot to hygiene and so on. But what do you think was contrasting, even as it relates to how the patients responded to them?
Dr. Ben,
Yes.
Florence was an administrator.
Mhm.
Mary was a healer. She had a natural energy. I'm not discounting Florence's competence, but she was an administrative nurse practitioner. Florence was a healer. Florence connected with her people. The most important part of healing is your connection with people, because if they don't believe they can get better, it won't happen. Like we say in Jamaica, believe kill and believe cure. Mary is perfect evidence of that.
Yes. Yeah. And the empathy, because I mean, what was the nickname for Florence Nightingale?
Lady of the Lamb.
Lady of the Lamb. You know, because she was caring, but she was very cold. And we also see from Florence Nightingale's approach to medicine, modern medicine was built on her approach rather than Mary Sequel's approach. And so we see that now in the hospitals. A lot of the nurses are very cold. They're very unattached. They're very, you know, they emphasize administration, but in terms of connecting with their clients, very few of them. There are exceptions. And so you basically will see two types of nurses in the hospital. You will see those with the spirit of Mary Sequel and those with the spirit of Florence Nightingale, you know, and that's basically what modern medicine is built on, because she didn't believe in getting attached to her patients. She didn't believe in connecting with them because she did not believe that was important for the healing process, that it wasn't necessary for the healing process, right? How important, as Sharon says, do you really think it's important to be connected with persons for them to receive healing? Do you think it's necessary? Yes, Deja.
Yes, I think that it is definitely very necessary, because I had an experience with myself. Like I was talking to some people who were not doing well in their life, and I think that God sent me there to heal their energy, because as I was talking to one of the girls, she was saying that she was facing 20 years in prison, and this was a white girl that I was talking to. And I reached out to her and I grabbed her hand, and I was like, you know, telling her how sorry I was. And then she moved her hand back really quickly. And so I was just like in my head, like, well, maybe she's racist. I'm sorry that I overstepped my boundaries or something. And so she was just like, who are you? She was like, I've had really bad anxiety for the past 2 weeks. And as soon as you touch me, she was like, look, she was like, I'm not shaking no more. The shaking is gone. And when she told me that, it kind of made me look into myself more and know that I have a healing, I have the energy and the power and the ability to heal others through just touching them or speaking to them or just being around them.
Beautiful. And I also want to add that that's an energy that a lot that, you know, among healers, it's more dominant among women than men. And that's also one of the reasons why I encourage so many women to get involved in natural medicine, because they're natural nurturers. My wife and I work together, and I spend a lot of time reading and researching and doing a lot of stuff. I try my utmost best to stay connected, but I can't compete. My wife is just a natural connector. She connects with person on a level that I just can't connect with them. And you know, she definitely has brought something to the table. And as you go and practice, you will see that there are some ailments that are emotionally grounded, that are and that sometimes you're able to even feel it. I'll give you an in this week, we had a client that has a tumor on her liver. And another one, I don't remember what their ailment was. And you know, she said to the lady, what was it? Is there anybody that, you know, you're bitter against, that you hate? And she was saying, no, no, no. This one, the lady started crying because this lady had gone through so much from her mom, so much abuse, that the minute my wife said it, then she just started to pour out and cry. And there was another lady that she can just connect with, who have anger, even from their children coming up. So some healings, some diseases, some ailments are deep-seated in emotional wounds. And when we start to go further in quantum medicine, you know, you'll hear more. You'll be able to make sense of how emotional disturbances affect us physically, because as we know, everything starts in the spiritual before it manifests in the physical. And that is not just a bunch of hocus pocus. It's as true as truth can be. And so a lot of persons have, and I'll give you an example. If you are here right now and you heard that somebody who is very close to you, let us say you heard that your child died, Yah forbid. Immediately, it's not just an emotion. That emotion is the result of chemicals that are being released in the body. And there are chemicals that can literally slow down your heart. There are chemicals that can literally release toxins into the body. So just imagine, you know, a woman being raped, you know, somebody losing a loved one, you know. So emotional connection is very
You're frozen,
important.
Dr. Ben.
Huh?
You were frozen a while ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So emotional connection is so important that we can't just limit it to just taking medicines, doing exercise, and eating food. And that's why spirituality comes in, because you know, healing comes from a source. Healing comes from a source, just like our disease comes from a source. And so if you are connected to the wrong source, to the wrong energy, then you may be a conduit for disease. All right, Mitzi, you can go ahead, make your point.
Well, when it was when you had said, you know, how important it is to be loving and nice to people when they are ill, because I have been through illness, and it was a big help with the doctor I was seeing at the time, that they had an emotional connection to me. And it's very important. And what you were saying about illness is stemming from stress. My breast cancer came from my children's father dying suddenly in a car accident.
Wow.
We were together for like 17 years, and he was like a couple of days before his 41st birthday, and he has never been ill at all in his life. And he just crashed and died. And it mashed up my whole life. And but that was 2010. And by 2013, I found out I couldn't sleep for years. I mean, I was having problem sleeping before that because my father was ill, and I'm the only one that was dealing with him because my sister lives abroad. So I was under a lot of stress with my father, and also some decisions that my father took when he was in his business. And, you know, and he himself went through a trauma because my mother died when I was 10, and he didn't get over that. He was 34 and she was 32. She died in childbirth. So his whole life was unhappy. And then, but he took good care of us, you know. But he was unhappy, got a good second wife, and he still was unhappy. And he turned to drinking. And so I had to be dealing with all of his problems and all of the things, and taking him to the doctor and all kind of stuff when he was sick. And then in the middle of everything, you just crashed and died. And I couldn't sleep for years. And I think that's what brought on my breast cancer, because I couldn't sleep. Yeah, so I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, so we have to connect. All right, so this week lesson, as I said, you know, the goal was to really open our eyes to the fact that you know, natural medicine, there are persons, and this is from Jamaica, who has risen to prominence and who has made significant contribution, albeit she has not been recognized But even the Queen of England knew about Mary C. Cole and knew about her work and knew about her contribution. Can you imagine? She was at the pinnacle of her success. And so we want to continue that legacy of looking, featuring persons that have contributed significantly to the the field of natural medicine. And last week I spoke to you about somebody that we wanted to interview, that we wanted to feature. And I did get the chance to do that. So I want to share with you that interview. And then we can look at that. And we're just gonna run over what this week's class is about. It's going to be a continuation, basically, of it's going to be a continuation of the lesson. We're going to be looking on a closer look at Jamaica and the contribution of the different ethnic groups and how they have contributed to the medicine that we have in Jamaica. All right, so we're going to be looking. Hey guys, it's Dr. Ben-Yisrael here, and just give me a minute. Let me just bring this up. Just give me a minute. Let me just go to this video. We went to visit Sister Kukuwa Abba, and I wanted to do a video, but she's one of those persons who loves doing video. So instead, we had to do an audio, right? So we had to do an audio, and that's what we're going to be sharing with you, the audio that we did. And she didn't want her image to be out there. She didn't want her image to be out there. So what I did is I have a slide presentation that we are going to look at. Hold on. I do a slide presentation. And it's going to talk about her book and what she has done and how much she has contributed. Wow. All right. Just give me a minute, guys. I'm trying to. Oh, there it is. She's also the author of Past Foods, Rediscovering Indigenous and Traditional Crops for Food Security and Nutrition. First of all, let me not assume that I know you're an author.
Doc, we're not hearing anything, so I guess there's some issue.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I do, but I don't do it a lot because I work individual clients because I take a holistic approach, which herbal healing is part of it. But I focus on nutrition and physical activity.
You guys are not hearing.
Psychological therapies like how people heal because I believe the mind.
It's not so clear, Doc.
Hold on.
Unless you turn up the volume, maybe.
Hold on. All right, let me just do that again. Hey guys, it's Dr. Ben-Yisrael here, and I'm here with the author of the book, Herbs, 40 Jamaican Medicinal Herbs, Sister Kukuwa Abba. I'm doing this video especially for the students of our diploma in traditional Caribbean medicine, and we came to seek her out to get a copy of the book, and also, for you guys, I'd ask you to, ask your questions. I haven't seen those questions yet. She's also the author. Her latest book is Past Foods, Rediscovering Indigenous and Traditional Crops for Food Security and Nutrition. And guys, we spoke a lot about the different areas of natural medicine. And Sister Kukuwa Abba, first of all, let me not assume, I know you're an author. Do you actually practice medicine in the sense of working with persons?
Yes, I do, but I don't do it a lot because I work individual clients because I take a holistic approach, which herbal healing is part of it. But I focus on nutrition and physical activity, as well as psychological therapies like how people heal, because I believe the mind is the most vital facet of healing, because people's mental state can work for or against the process.
Okay. We encourage a lot of women. As a matter of fact, one of our main thrusts is to get as many women as is possible in natural healing, because we realize that for women, it's more natural because, you have that intuition.
As nurturers.
As nurturers. How did you get involved?
It was a journey that began some time ago, and it really came to fruition, I'd say, having children. And at one point in my life, I lived completely alone up in the hills, miles away with 2-3 kids. And you know what kids are like.
Yes.
So you had to start to figure out and learn natural first aid, because I was miles away from any practical help.
So did you have any ancestral roots with your grandparents, aunts? Do you have anybody who you see living that way for you to want to?
Strangely enough, I had family members, but it got disconnected because a generation or so before me were the ones who bought into Western medicine and were the ones who were, growing up in a time where people had doctors available. So you find that a lot of the knowledge was being lost. That was what inspired me to actually.
That's where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because I found out that my motivation to do what I do is because of a sense of responsibility that I felt when I saw this ancient knowledge, just fading away. And did you set out by saying, "Oh, I'm going to write a book"? How did you end up writing
No,
J.A. Herbs?
I did. It's been a long journey, but I assisted many years ago. I assisted some researchers who'd come to Jamaica to do stuff, and I continued that when I traveled. But I realized that I was really studying herbs that didn't grow in Jamaica, and a lot of people were promoting, golden seal, echinacea, all those kind of things that were effective but didn't grow here, so I didn't think that was sustainable. So when I returned to Jamaica 20 years ago, I started to look around and started to find the equivalents, and that's when I realized the knowledge and the actual herbs were disappearing. So that's what motivated me.
So you and I basically started out on the same path, because I studied natural medicine from a Western mindset, only to find out now that I want to practice, it would mean that I would have to purchase these herbs, import herbs.
Even when the Ayurvedic and the Chinese herbs, again, they didn't always grow here. So it was the same thing. So whether it was the Western or the Eastern, it wasn't based on crops that were plentiful in Jamaica. And that led me into the whole field of ethnobotanical research. And that's when I started to realize that if you look across the pan-tropical region of the world, similar herbs grow. And that's where I started to get knowledge by looking at Brazil, looking at Southeast Asia, the Philippines, Africa, and realizing that many of these herbs were common to those different regions.
Which is what brings us, because, we basically, our course, Traditional Caribbean Medicine, is basically a drive that we are on to say it's time for Jamaica and the Caribbean to have our brand, to have our form of medicine. What do you think about that move to rise up a formal traditional medicine for Jamaicans and the Caribbean?
Well, you see, I'm a Pan-Africanist, so my thing always has to reflect back to Africa and to the diaspora. So my knowledge base actually was assisted greatly by reaching out to African descendants in Brazil, Colombia, Central America, non-English speaking parts of the New World. So that showed me how much, and then looking at where the traditions were originating from and looking at the commonality of the herbs across from Africa right through herbs that our ancestors brought with them, as well as the ones that they discovered here. And
that's what traditional Caribbean medicine is about, because what we are saying is that we realize that we have a unique form of medicine, which is similar to the culture out of many one people, because traditional Caribbean medicine for us means that our medicine has the effusion of African medicine, from the slaves who came. It has the fusion of the French who at one point occupied Jamaican parts of the Caribbean. It has fusions from the Indians and the Spanish. So what we're saying is that we believe that this is what makes our medicine so unique, because it really is a melting pot of a diversity of different cultures that at some point predominantly occupied Jamaica.
And that is why taking that ethnobotanical approach, if you see the local names and common names that I give are drawn from different regions. It's not just Jamaican local names, because you're going to find in the islands, they may have a name for it, in Brazil, in things.
You just let the puss out of the bag, because that's why I wanted to talk about why should somebody purchase J.A. Herbs? Because one of the things you just mentioned is one of the things that is unique about your book. What you help persons to do is to connect the dots with a particular herb and the different name. So if a person wants to really learn Caribbean medicine and want to know the possible name that a herb may have in different countries, then J.A. Herbs. And what you've done is that you've limited that to just about 40 Jamaican medicinal herbs, which is very manageable.
Yeah, Yep. I started with 100, and then it got unwieldy because you just can go so far into every one of them. But I also wanted to highlight. I wanted to highlight some of the lesser known medicinal plants as well, because you see all the time similar ones coming up, and I wanted to highlight some of the ones that we may have forgotten about using, or we weren't that familiar with using, but that were here, like the ball bush, the jalapa, which I have growing out there.
Yes.
And
The
some
guaco,
of them,
that has gone to shot to fame thanks to Dr. Sebi.
Yes,
we have the
quite
guava, which we
quite-
use a lot for enlarged prostate.
And it's very good for all gastrointestinal.
Right. So for persons who are looking for a book that would give them a very good introduction to Jamaican and Caribbean herbs, I strongly recommend J.A. Herbs. Where exactly is it available? Where can persons get this?
Unfortunately, the support to publish it wasn't here in Jamaica at the time, and I published it online on print on demand, and it's available online or from me.
Oh, so it's available through
Online.
print on demand.
Yeah, you go online, Amazon, all the major platforms, all the major.
It's there. Wonderful.
Booksellers, so.
But you didn't stop there. I don't know, it's almost as if we're on the same wavelength. Because after doing J.A. Herbs, because I did a series of videos on alkaline indigenous foods, herbs that are alkaline and indigenous to Jamaica, because I believe that we have put a lot of emphasis on vegetables that are already regulated and controlled and also genetically modified. So a lot of the nutrients and a lot of the medicinal, is not there. What we need to do is to look to alkaline indigenous foods. And I see where you went ahead and you did another book, Past Foods. Tell us what motivated you to do Past Foods. And why the name Past Foods?
Well, the name, first of all, is because a lot of these foods have been around for hundreds or thousands of years. And we tend to always be looking out for the next big thing and not knowing it's already here, and not seeing perhaps the nutritional benefit in foods that we're familiar with or that's been around a long time. And also, I worked for years in international health and development, and because of that, I worked around the issue of food security. And I saw years ago the impending threats to our food security by virtue of what we choose to eat. And being the problem with the Caribbean is small islands, not self-sufficient, so huge import bills. And traveling to the Sahel region in Africa, seeing the ravages of climate change, but also seeing our own fragility as far as the weathers and so on. So that's what started the research. And then I started to discover the Sahelian roots of a lot of the foods that we've now come to.
Just educate. It's a Sahelian foods.
The Sahel region of West Africa. Many of us originated in those areas. And also, a lot of the enslaved people brought over seeds and things with us. And a lot of these foods that are common to all of us across the Caribbean and the New World had their origins in Africa. And some of them we're not familiar with, but also some of the ones that are originated here in the Caribbean. I wanted people to realize the nutritional benefits of what we had. So I figured that we need a greater understanding of nutrition, and also to start focusing on crops that were sustainable and climate change resistant as much as possible, as well as being nutritionally.
So when we talk about foods like the amaranth, that we call callaloo here in Jamaica.
But because callaloo, for instance, in Trinidad, callaloo is dasheen leaf. It's not
the same.
It's not. They don't call this one. They have different names for it, baji and whatever. So going across the name amaranth also refers to a species of the callaloo that bears seeds.
Yeah, which
and
is used
seeds, exactly. A very nutritious
Yeah.
grain that is.
Some persons have never even heard about, we have some at the office there now.
Yeah.
Some persons have never heard about amaranth.
And don't realize it's
and right now,
callaloo.
our diet is really a starch base, whereas a lot of these foods are protein based and, they're holistic in terms of their nutrition.
So they get the okra, bread nut, which is something we've killed out virtually in Jamaica.
That's scarce in Jamaica.
Yeah, but it's a very nutritious thing, looking at all the benefits of cow peas. And
looking through the book, a lot of these plants are here in abundance.
Some of them are here in abundance, some we have ignored, and some are available. Everybody now going for quinoa.
Yes.
But there's an African grain, ancient grain called fonio. They call African quinoa. And I would like to see us.
And that can grow here?
It grows in the Dominican Republic.
Wow.
So there's no reason.
So when you talk about food security, these are some of the foods that, we need to Gongo from Africa?
Yeah.
So for those persons, Gongo came from Africa?
Yeah.
Jackfruit?
No, jackfruit came from the Far East. But this also came.
This is what, lab.
That's what we call Banabis.
That's a pea.
Yeah. I saw some selling in the market.
I see this.
They haven't seen it for years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's these are resistant, and millets, grains that we thought were African grains.
Yeah,
that we should be eating a lot more of. Millets, different types of millets. When we see millets, we think of other cultures. It's very much part of our moringa as a nutritional crop rather than just as a. This is how the Indians.
You use the seed?
No, they used it as a
pods.
vegetable. Yeah, the
like okra.
Young pods.
So many nutritious herbs, so many nutritious plants. We're talking to Sister Kukuwa Abba, author of Jamaican Herbs and Past Foods. We don't keep you, Sister Abba. Thank you for having us. But I want to close off. Is there anybody that inspired you as it relates to natural medicine? Some persons will draw on maybe Nani or a lot of persons draw on Dr. Sebi. Is there anybody that inspired you? May not have been a figure that was well known. Could have just been someone in the community, a grandma. Was there anybody who inspired you?
My mother.
Your mother.
She always, despite her not actually being a herbalist or a nutritionist, she introduced me to a lot of our foods and knowledge about our foods.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why.
And that's one of the best inspiration. All right. Thank you again, Sister Kukuwa Abba. And guys, I hope I asked the questions that you would want to ask. Hopefully, we can get her one of our webinars so that you can ask your questions. She's definitely another matriarch. By the look, you would know, but she just told me that I wouldn't say it, but
Didn't hear the end, Dr. Ben. By her look, you said what? Not hearing you, Dr. Ben.
sorry, I said that she was a matriarch.
Okay.
But I hope that I asked the questions that you would have wanted to ask. Next week, live spear, we're gonna have another guest. I'm hoping to get somebody that has contributed. What should I say now? Academically, he has contributed significantly to natural medicine. And the article for the reading assignment for this week's class is actually an article written by him. He has done a lot of research on the history of natural medicine and the ethnic origins of the different practices. So I hope to have him on next week. So I hope you think about some questions that you can ask him next week. All right. You can go ahead, Don, see your hand.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Doc.
Good night.
I have some issues this afternoon where I was disconnected. I think my network, I have some problems. So for most part of this presentation, I didn't hear anything. So I'm asking if it's possible for me to, I don't know, get a recording or something.
Yeah, it is recorded. So I'll post it and you can review it. All right.
Okay, thank you, Doc.
Wonderful. All right, so this week we are moving into Unit 3. And in Unit 3, I'm going to give you a brief overview. It again is another wonderful topic critical to natural medicine, is herbalism and its practice in Jamaica and the Caribbean. So this week's lesson is going to give you more insight as it relates to our medicine, the different contributions from the different ethnic groups, the Indians, the English, the Africans, and the different groups. We're also going to be talking about a little bit about spirituality, because it's almost impossible to talk about traditional Caribbean medicine, especially from the Jamaican perspective, and not talk about the kumina and not talk about the the impact of African spirituality on our medicine. So we're going to be going into that, and it will give us some insights as to why our medicine is not appreciated, because a lot of our medicine, because it's also merged with, it has a spiritual element to it. A lot of the spiritual element of our medicine was illegal. It was illegal. Slaves had to hide to practice their natural medicine, because their natural medicine also had a spiritual component to it. And that spiritual component was considered to be pagan. And so, you'll get to look at that. You get to understand more about why our medicine is kind of like the underground medicine, if you want to put it that way. But this week I'm hoping to get somebody from academia who has contributed significantly in the ministry of University of the West Indies, and is doing his best to get natural medicine the recognition that it needs, especially with his colleagues. He's trained, his training basically is to interface between a medical doctor and a client. So that's his training. As a herbalist, his job is to interface between the medical doctor and the client. So he, I'm sure, will bring a very unique perspective to natural medicine, help us to understand how they're thinking and what are the apprehensions and the reservations that they have, and see how we can just begin to understand, appreciate, and deal with them. Because a lot of doctors don't want to, just have a problem with natural medicine, but there are certain biases that are built into the way they were trained. And so if those mindset and those barriers are not broken down, then we won't be able to make the impact and the effect that we want to have. All right. So that's for this lesson coming up. Anybody have any questions as it relates to, or any comment as it relates to the video that they just watched? Anybody? For me, I was impressed with Sister Kukuwa Abba's input in natural medicine, because yes, she does practice, but her contribution more so is significantly as it relates to education, as it relates to writing, as it relates to authoring and putting out content and literature that will be there for persons to read and for persons to take time to look at. All right, so anybody else have any questions or comments before we close off this evening? The physical book is definitely of preference. All right, so this week lesson will open up. I'm sorry, I apologize for last week for not opening it up on time. Gonna make sure that we correct that. Yeah, go ahead, Mitzi.
I was just wondering, did she say that she has some physical books on her person that she could sell?
Yes, sorry, yeah, she did
Because
have.
I would prefer the physical book than the online.
Yeah, we did. Mel was there and he purchased a book from her and I got one from her, the new book. Mel, did you leave with my book?
So how much you sell them for that?
The J.A. Herb is 3.5 and Past Food is 4.5.
Okay, I would like the two of them to buy.
Yeah, man. So she has some copy. Melbourne, I didn't see the book. Did it come down with you?
Doc, me too. You're here? So you can book
All
for
right.
me and Mitzi, please.
Just put it in the WhatsApp group.
You leave the book inside, Doc.
Yeah?
You leave the book inside of your office.
Oh,
You
it's
brought
in
it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. I'll look for it. All right, guys. So I'll talk to her about getting some books. I did talk to her yesterday. And they're also available on Amazon and all the other platforms where you can buy books. You know, they're there. You can get them there. So
It's paperback. It's paperback on Amazon because I'm looking at it now. It's gonna cost about 36 US to come here because you buy it for $19.99 and for them to deliver it, it comes anywhere between March 4th to the 24th, and the total price is just about 36 US because there's a shipping cost included.
Yeah, that's expensive. That's more than 3.5.
Yes, I prefer to buy it from her, please.
All right, so I can get it. We're having some. Yes, go ahead. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's very expensive to get it online. So she has it like for 3.5, and the new one is for 4.5. So you know it's a lot less. I guess she brings them. She bring them in bulk. So she does that to reduce the cost. But she said that she do it that way to really make it available to persons who are not that tech savvy. So for those who are tech savvy, you know, they can get it online. But again, thank you guys for coming out tonight. I noticed that there are some persons, Michael, there are some persons who haven't submitted their assignments, started marking, or finished marking tonight. I noticed that there are some persons with some outstanding. So just message me and let me know what's happening, and I can, you know, I give you some time to finish it up. All right? Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Yes, sir. Question in regards to Mira Sequel. When she was practicing her nursing care in Crimea, is there at any point she complemented both allopathic medicine and traditional medicine out on the battlefield?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. But it's not impossible because at that time nursing was not developed to the point where a person, because nursing wasn't developed at that time. So I'm almost sure that what she worked with was what she was using here in Jamaica, or natural medicine. But of course, working as a nurse, if there were doctors there, maybe those doctors would have administered allopathic care, and then she would apply her nursing care, you know, to support and to complement what they were doing. Yeah, yes, Mitzi, if you want to contribute to that, maybe you have some more insight.
I didn't remember to ask. Did anybody see in their readings? I mean, how did she get the herbs while she was in the Crimea? Because over there, Paul, and she traveled with our herbs when she was going to England, when she was going up, or you know, I was just wondering where she got the herbs from to heal the people.
Okay, well, that's a good question. I don't know, because she should have naturally worked with what she had. It could be possible that there were persons bringing up herbs for her as well, because you know, ships was moving back and forth, so it's quite possible that she would get material from that, or she could get similar herbs from you know, in the herb market while she was in England or Crimea.
Okay.
Annette?
Yes, sir.
Okay, oh, I thought you wanted to make a point because I noticed your mic was on mute. All right, so
I think I've read some of what she wrote, and she used to sell other things apart from taking care of the soldiers on the field, and she used to sell, I think, was liquors, and let me call it liquors. So she must have a means of buying these things. So therefore, I think that she probably would have gone somewhere to buy the herbs along with the liquors and other supplies that she would need out there on the battlefield, from what I read.
right, and in looking at her, I noticed that she did something that we also do, and that is we have a number of clients that we care for pro bono that just don't have it, and we still offer that care. And we also sometimes, even though we have a price for what we want to offer, sometimes those who can afford it, you know, we allow them to pay more so that those who can't afford it, you know, we can subsidize for them at times. And we also offer a free clinic at every one of our clinics, I think except for Kingston for now. We do a free clinic every month. So we do one free clinic in all locations every month as our contribution back to the community. So we only pick, you know, we only charge for 3 clinics, 3 weeks rather out of the month, and we do one for free. And you know, that has in more than one ways, it has been a blessing to us, because when you offer free care, you really get a chance to screen a lot of persons. And I guess not everybody can do that because everybody's reality is different. One of the reasons why we can do that is because most of the medicines that we administer, we make them. So even if we charge for the services to visit free, then we can earn from the herbs. But it helps out a lot. And it allows us to extend ourselves far beyond that which we'll be able to do. And so you can think about it, how you can give back to the community, you know, how you can help serve in your community. But I want to thank you guys for being on the call tonight. I hope that tonight's session was inspiring and educating and informative, and that, you know, you guys are learning. All right, so if you haven't finished up, just go ahead, finish your assignments, and tonight we will open up the 3rd unit so you can jump on it as soon as possible. All right. So have a good night and see you guys next week.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.